Welcome back, weebs and otakus, to yet another marvelous video. Today, we're taking a dive into an anime that's been hurting its fans because of its long hiatus. The anime and manga of Hunter x Hunter has given big names in the industry like One Piece and Bleach a massive run for their money. So, we're exploring one of the characters that plays a major role in the series, Hisoka Morow. From his origin to things like his gear and powers, we're taking a look at it all. So, put on your seatbelts as we dive into marvelous videos, Hisoka Morow Origins Explored. The backstory of Hisoka Morow, an enigmatic, flamboyant magician who doesn't bother with the trivialities of the past, and why should he? To him, the past is merely a prologue to a more interesting future full of challenges, blood, and most importantly, fun. If you asked him for his background, he would probably shrug and look at you with that unsettling smirk, flipping a playing card in the air as if to say, does it really matter? Well, it matters to us, so let's see what kind of horrors will spring out of this jack-in-the-box. The time that Hisoka spent with the Phantom Troop, the infamous gang of thieves otherwise known as the Spiders, was almost like a game to him. Everybody there knew he wasn't in it out of some sense of loyalty or because of some deep-seated grudge against the Kurta people, a massacre which hung over the group like a particularly grim backdrop. No, Hisoka joined the troop for the same reason he did most things, to cause chaos and keep himself entertained. So, with his magician-like getup and love of deception, it was no real surprise that he lied his way into the Spiders. That spider tattoo of his? A fake, of course. Hisoka had only joined because he wanted to fight Crollo, the leader of the troop, and a man who could offer him the thrill of a true challenge. Typical of Hisoka, he didn't bother mentioning that to the others and manipulated his way into the group by defeating the previous number 4 in their ranking. While Hisoka's past might be shrouded in mystery, we do know one thing, and that is his deadly techniques, which have a sweet twist to them. We'll get to that later in the video. Now, before Hisoka was flipping cards in people's faces or masquerading as a spider, he took part in the 286th Hunter exam. The word participated is used lightly here. Hisoka was less interested in passing the exam than in turning it into his personal playground. He spent much of his time eliminating fellow contestants, all 20 of them to be precise, and even nearly killed one of the examiners, and because of that very reason, he didn't pass the exam. Apparently, even for the notoriously ruthless Hunter Association, this was a bit of a no-no. Hisoka found the examiner's bad fortune quite entertaining. What's a little disqualification when you're only having fun, right? We really think that fun is the only word in Hisoka's dictionary. He doesn't give a damn about honor or duty or even power. Hisoka is a hedonist, but his pleasures are far from conventional. He's attracted to strong fighters, much like a moth to a flame, but instead of burning up, he lights up with excitement. A fine example of this was his relationship with Gon and Killua. Hisoka didn't just go out and kill them right there on the spot as he thought they were interesting and had potential. He believed that one day they may give him the fight he's been hungry for. It's as if he's a gardener tending to his small saplings, but instead of giving water to them, he's watering the ground with their sweat and blood as he waits for them to bloom into strong opponents. But what happens if they disappoint him and fail to live up to the expectations he's set for them? Well, let's just say what Hisoka finds valuable one day become trash the next. Hisoka is someone who thrives on chaos, and that makes even the Phantom Troop fair game to him. After Crollo's temporary defeat of Hisoka, our favorite magician swore to eventually hunt down the entire troop one by one. Why? Simply because it amused him. I think being defeated was probably embarrassing for him too, but don't tell him I said that. I'd rather not have a crazed clown after. Stephen King's It has given me enough nightmares as it is. Moving on, while Hisoka is indeed a sadist, there is some kind of twisted logic in what he does. For him, everything is a toy, and broken toys don't last long in his world. Now, what about his looks? Well, his appearance changes with the day, mirroring his own unpredictable nature. It's like he's the sea, calm one moment and tsunami the next. Yes, he's dressed like a magician, but he also kind of looks like a jester, with all the suit symbols adorning his outfit and face paint that changes with his every whim. In the 2011 anime, he sports red hair and amber eyes, while in the manga, he has light green hair during the York New City arc. His face paint and nail color are also not consistent. His androgynous appearance, complete with long nails and a taste for women's shoes, makes him more mysterious. Is Hisoka acting? Is this some kind of ploy? Or is it another one of those ways for him to keep people on edge, never quite knowing who or what they're dealing? Neither a villain nor a hero, he's a force of nature, chaotic and wild, with his only driving goal being to find the next thrilling battle. And if that requires him to lie, cheat, or kill, so be it. After all, to Hisoka, the only thing that matters is how much fun he can squeeze out of the little things in life. Terrifying story arcs of Hisoka Morow. Hisoka has been an integral part of the Hunter x Hunter series, so when he showed up for the Hunter exam, his presence and taste for chaos were instantly felt by everyone. Hisoka's true talent was truly brought out during the Hunter exam. He was a bystander, player, and ruthless judge all at once. Hisoka's whimsical nature went really dark as he played with other candidates, including Gon and Leorio. Hisoka's antics run from killing beasts to cooking up a storm, as his peculiar sense of humor and unbridled bloodlust are revealed in the second phase. He is as adept at passing trials as he is at creating chaos. Next, Hisoka spends the Heaven's Arena arc enjoying his favorite hobby, fighting strong people. His fight against Castro shows off his disgustingly creative and dark magic tricks. This fight shows how Hisoka gets sadistic pleasure by outwitting and overpowering his foes with various types of savage moves. His sinister charm is taken to a whole new level in York New City. He poses as a loyal Phantom Troop member while planning on how to fight Crollo. The way he manipulates fortunes and alliances shows the complexity of his nature, which is that of a predator who survives in the shadows but always enjoys the taste of a possible fight. His several expeditions to Greed Island show him playing this treacherous game of alliance and betrayal. While feigning interest in finding Crollo's exorcist, he helps Gon and Killua in their quest. Hisoka's excitement to fight Razor's group is apparent, which shows his ever-present craving for combat and chaos. In the Chimera Ant arc and then the 13th Hunter Chairman election arc, Hisoka shows his dark evolution. From his manipulations in the election arena to his lethal encounters against Goto and other foes, we can see a man without remorse and with cold calculation. Hisoka Morow only grows in strength from chaos and conflict, truly making him one of the most intriguingly terrifying creatures to emerge from the Hunter x Hunter universe. Essential gear and tools of Hisoka Morow. Hisoka's weapon of choice is just as unconventional as the man himself, a deck of ordinary French playing cards. Of course, in the hands of a casual magician, these cards would be used for party tricks, pulling out the occasional ace from a sleeve or maybe guessing your birthday. But when Hisoka gets his hands on them, these innocent cards become lethal weapons. They're less pick a card any card and more pick your poison. White-edged with a checkered pattern of fuchsia squares, they look as if they were meant for a more than trendy poker night. In battle, these cards, loaded with Hisoka's nen and shu techniques, are more akin to razor-sharp blades. Gambit must be so jealous. If you've ever gotten a paper cut, you know how bad that stings, so now picture a paper cut from a card going at the speed of light and dead center on your vitals. Yeah, not so fun anymore. Hisoka's card-throwing skills perfectly reflect his personality, flashy, unpredictable, and always with a dangerous edge. Whether it's simply flicking one into an opponent's jugular or slicing through metal, Hisoka proves it's not about the weapon, but about how much insane energy you put into it. The cards, quite literally, are in his favor. Hisoka Morow's abilities and powers explained. Hisoka's powers are flamboyant and deadly, mixing elegance with brutality. Being a hunter, he enjoys all the perks of the status, but it's his fighting abilities that make him into one truly terrifying figure. Hisoka moves with grace, is cruel and unpredictable, and that earned him the title of Floor Master, a rank that's not easily handed out. His battle-hardened physique and combat skills alone make him scary, but his mastery of Zen and his flexible, tactical genius that keeps his opponents perpetually on edge is terrifying too. I mean, defeating the former number 4 of the Phantom Troop and killing Blacklist Hunter Bushidora without even receiving a scratch is no small feat at all. He's so unimpressed with pro hunters that he literally daydreams about fighting the Zodiacs for a challenge. Even Illumi Zoldyck, the assassin from a family of trained assassins, has to tread carefully around Hisoka. It came to a point where even the leader of the Phantom Troop had to gather more abilities than ever just to make sure he didn't wind up on Hisoka's casual list. It must be obvious to you by now that fighting is not just brute force for Hisoka, it's a performance, and he's both the director and the star. His mastery of misdirection, dexterity, and flair for theatrics aren't just tools for survival, but to amaze an audience. After all, when he took down Castro, it wasn't just a brawl, it was practically a magic show. Hisoka's skill in sleight of hand gives him a superior ability with knives, which people take months to master. His love of toying with his enemies often means he drags fights out longer than necessary, taking more damage simply because he's enjoying the show. In fact, his preternatural perception is so sharp that he can sense people who are trying to hide with Zetsu, even when they're executing the technique flawlessly. When he's not actively attempting to suppress his bloodlust, Hisoka is able to gauge a person's strength upon seeing him once. Although, when his bloodthirst is overwhelming, he usually doesn't bother with anything else. Now, don't think Hisoka is a one-trick pony. Nah, he's more of a carnival act squeezed into one body. His sheer strength enables him to kick flagstones into the audience during a fight or swing human puppets around as if they were bowlings. He once managed to throw a dodgeball with enough force that it required all of Razor's Nen puppets to work in tandem just to dodge from getting pancaked. His speed is also off the charts. Hisoka can disappear from view in close combat, make enemies scratch their heads and wonder at how he just avoided that attack, and even after his arms are cut off, he can dodge blows as if he's dancing his way through the air. His stamina is also just as freakish. Be it running 80 kilometers without breaking a sweat or surviving critical hits with barely a wince, Hisoka seems all but immune to normal human vulnerabilities. Getting blown to pieces seems it might be no more than a slight nuisance. Hisoka is as sharp as his cards intellectually, and by that I mean razor sharp. He's a great strategist and plays any given situation to his advantage, carefully manipulating others while playing the long game. He tricked the spiders into remaining in York New to fight Crollo, and even forged a fake prophecy in just a few seconds to keep them on their toes. Hisoka can also determine a person's Nen type based on personality traits, a system that is actually shockingly effective despite him referring to it as unreliable. And speaking of Nen, Hisoka is known as a transmuter, one who can turn his aura into a sticky, elastic sort of substance. His ominous aura alone is enough to make even the experienced Nen users uneasy. The way Hisoka masters transmutation enables him to stretch his aura over distances, and the finesse in conjuration, emission, enhancement means he's able to combine those abilities together with devastating ease. You see, Hisoka isn't just a fighter, he's also a fan of nostalgia. His two signature techniques, bungee gum and texture surprise, are both named after childhood candies he loved. Now, if you thought bungee gum sounds harmless, you've never seen it in action. The gum may be elastic, but it's just as dangerous as it is multi-purposed, turning Hisoka's opponents into human yo-yos. As for texture surprise, this ability to tamper with the appearance of objects through Nen is more of Hisoka's trickster nature on full display. Can you imagine taking a fake texture and just slapping that over a gaping wound? That's Hisoka in a nutshell, someone who's half clown, half killer, and completely jokes. If that wasn't enough, he has a vast knowledge of Nen that includes advanced techniques like exorcism and memory overload. Using Shu, he gave cards the cutting power of a guillotine, and using In, he lays traps that are just as devious as his smile. And because Hisoka is never content to stop at just winning, he even figured out how to turn his aura to prosthetic limbs when his real ones were lopped off. For Hisoka, the show must go on, even if he has to piece himself back together. I have to admit that I admire his dedication to having fun no matter what. Hisoka Morow's appearances in other media. Hisoka's backstory got a dramatic spotlight in the Hisokas Past one-shot, written and illustrated by Tokyo Ghoul's very own Sui Ishida. Now, Yoshihiro Togashi, the mangaka of Hunter x Hunter, has given recognition to this one-shot, but we don't have confirmation whether this can be considered canon or not. Regardless, the story gives insight into a younger Hisoka long before his theatrics at the Hunter exam, yet full of all the charm and menace we know and love. Found beaten and left for dead on the side of the road by a ringmaster in a circus named Moritonio, Hisoka soon proved to be a natural performer, juggling a baton with flair, not unlike that with which he would later juggle the lives of his enemies. He was a star at the circus in no time, respected and feared. Well, things take an even wilder turn as Hisoka suddenly discovers a dark aura surrounding Moritonio. It turns out that Moritonio wasn't just a circus performer, but a Nen user as well, and like any good teacher with questionable ethics, he starts training Hisoka in the art of Nen. It doesn't take long for Hisoka to unlock his potential, and in just days, he achieves what normally takes years. It is in this training that Hisoka learns he's a transmuter, basically the foundation upon which his ability of bungee gum would later on develop. It is during this period that the real drama happens. Hisoka saves fellow performer Abaki from the clutches of the serial killer John Doe. Slicing through Doe's eyes, Hisoka begins to suspect the eye is not the only fake thing about this guy. Soon enough, Hisoka calls out Moritonio as none other than the infamous killer himself. And then, of course, it's duel time. First, Moritonio would appear to have the upper hand, able to transmute his aura into magnetic bars with which he crushes his opponents. But our favorite magician is just not willing to be outdone. He uses Gyo to figure out the trick and pulls out his newly made bungee gum and quite literally turns things around. The flying magnetic poles kill Moritonio and seal Hisoka's place as a deadly force in the world of Nen. Marvelous verdict! And that marks the end of yet another marvelous video. Diving into the origin of such an iconic character from Hunter x Hunter was certainly exciting. From his sad backstory to his impressive feats, it was interesting to see what drove this character. But that is it for today's video. Which character would you like us to take a look at next? Let us know all about it in the comments down below. We're always reading them.